Okay, welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain, on this sunny, in northern Wisconsin anyway, Thursday, September 10th. And Indian Summer Festival is coming up this weekend in the Great Lakes region, so people are headed that way already. Many of the stories viewed here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, or look at some of our other featured programs at IndianCountryTV.com. Here are the news stories from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. A federal judge has sentenced the Apache tribe's former Secretary-Treasurer to 27 months in prison for embezzling money from the tribe. Emily Sawpati was also ordered to pay $107,000 in restitution for funds that were meant for the Apache Tax Commission of Oklahoma. A federal jury convicted Sawpati in December of 33 counts of embezzlement for diverting tribal tax revenue to a personal account. Sawpati, whom the tribe authorized to transact business as a tax commissioner, received checks from oil companies for taxes on tribal land. Authorities said she opened an Apache Tax Commission account in 2003 without the tribe's knowledge, made herself signatory, and used her address as a shipping location for the account. South Dakota state prosecutors say a Canadian man has been charged with murder in the 1975 killing of a fellow American Indian Movement member. South Dakota prosecutors said September 10th that John Graham of Canada and a Rapid City woman, Thelma Rios, also known as Thelma Conroy or Thelma Rios Hill, have been indicted on murder charges in the killing of Canadian Mi'kmaq activist Anna Mae Pictou-Aquash near Wambley, South Dakota in December of 1975. Graham had faced federal charges in Aquash's killing, but two courts ruled the U.S. government lacked jurisdiction to try Graham because he is not considered an American Indian while in the United States. Federal prosecutors say they may appeal that ruling. A second man, Richard Dick Marshall, is still charged in federal court in Aquash's killing, and his trial may be held this October. Three individuals with close family ties to the Navajo Nation legislative branch have received more than $72,000 in financial aid from discretionary funds allocated to that branch over the past 5 years, according to financial records of the Navajo Nation Consul and Speaker Lawrence T. Morgan. The article by Navajo Times reporter Marley Shabala says that as many as 25 disbursements totaling $15,800 were made to the same individual in 1 year alone, despite a rule passed by the consul in the year 2007 that prohibits tribal members from receiving assistance more than once a year, the records show. Tribal law prohibits officials from using their position for personal gain, but does not specifically prohibit the use of discretionary funds for family members or other persons such as an employee closely connected to the officials who control the money. The rules limit aid from the speaker to $300 per person per year, while delegates can give as much as they wish. However, Morgan and other tribal leaders with discretionary funds have said that the grants seldom exceed $500 per person. The payments were made via checks that bore the signature of Morgan or one of over 24 delegates and were made out to the aid recipients by name. The largest amount went to Amanda Teller, daughter of Delegate Leonard Teller, and Laura Calvin, senior financial advisor to the legislative branch. Since 2003, Amanda Teller has received a total of $28,025, including $15,800 in the year 2008 alone. The 2008 financial aid came in the form of 32 checks ranging in size from $300 to $700. The complete story can be found at NavajoTimes.com. The Montana Historical Society, along with archaeologists Ruth Ann Knutson of Great Falls, Montana, are inviting residents to help reveal part of the state's past. Knutson says that those with projectile points, other Indian artifacts, or knowledge of sites are urged to take part in the survey. A form is available on the Montana Historical Society website. Knutson said the most critical information to provide are digital color photographs of the artifacts. The Montana survey will become part of a national database of the Americas. Similar surveys are underway across the United States, Canada, and in Mexico. Documents describing tribal life among the Cherokee in their original homeland are being translated from an archaic German script thanks to funding from the tribe. Hundreds of diaries, letters, and other papers that recorded about 100 years of history between the Moravian missionaries and their Cherokee hosts are the only known account of daily life in the Indian Nation before the U.S. government uprooted the tribe in 1838 from what is now North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. This shared history of the Moravians and the Cherokees was held for over 200 years at the Moravian Archives in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, according to the Winston-Salem Journal. Earlier this year, the Cherokee Nation offered $125,000 over 5 years to translate and transcribe the documents. 2 archivists will work on the collection 2 days a week for the next 5 years. The Board of Trustees of the Minnesota State College and University System will consider changing the status of the president of the Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College in Fond du Lac, Minnesota. Larry Anderson has been the interim president of the college, located in Cloquet, since July 1st, 2008. Anderson is an enrolled member of the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa in northeastern Minnesota. System Chancellor James McCormick is recommending Anderson's promotion. Prior to working at the Fond du Lac College, Anderson was the Upward Bound Student Support Services Director at the College of St. Scholastica for 3 years in Duluth, Minnesota. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank our underwriters for helping us with this broadcast and you for joining with us again today. Miigwech.